The crime scene of a cold case, the site of many break-ins, and a biological horror festering within a small community. All three of these things can perfectly describe Mexia's supermarket. Here's the full story. 3900 South Hemphill Street in South Fort Worth, Texas. This was the location of the Dallas-based supermarket called Daniel's Food Stores. The 36,000 square foot building seemingly opened in the 1980s, though it closed around 1997. This is most likely due to a disturbing incident that occurred on May 29, 1994. 18-year-old manager Eduardo Lopez was approached by a Hispanic gunman who demanded to see the safe. Eduardo, who had no choice, took the man into the office. He was then shot and killed, with the man hiding his body in the freezer. To this day, there doesn't seem to be any suspects, and not much information is publicly available online. The building would soon get new owners, being two unknown individuals that came to the United States from Laos. The name was changed to the Mexia Supermarket, with them receiving a $975,000 business loan from the Advanced Investment Corporation. It was supposed to be paid over the course of 15 years, but as you'll soon see, that never happened. The business officially opened sometime in late 1998, with their first taxable season being October of that year. The store struggled financially, as it was unable to make a profit despite the owners owing $1.14 million to various creditors. They eventually filed a Chapter 7 bankruptcy protection by September 28, 1999. The ownership of Mexia soon transferred to a bankruptcy trustee. The owners would flee the US following this, supposedly returning to Laos instead of staying and dealing with the financial mess they got themselves into. What should have happened from here is that the trustee would need to be solely responsible for disposing Mexia's inventory. However, this never happened, due to a series of miscommunication errors. Those owners simply locked up the store. Fort Worth's health department removed the store from its list of active food establishments, and the electricity was shut off. With the power now gone, the refrigerators turned off, and the food would soon spoil. While at the time it wasn't known what was going on inside, the effects on the outside were still devastating. By mid-October 1999, nearby residents began complaining of the smell, as it was so foul that it would cause headaches to anyone who walked near the store. A housekeeper who worked nearby said, "It is strong, especially when the wind is blowing. I told my husband several times that something smelled awful. Something smelled like dead animals. Then one day I walked over there, and there were flies all over it. It was gross." Following these complaints from locals, Fort Worth officials started an investigation. A company called A+ Budget Movers were hired to handle the situation, with them being told to start cleaning out the store on November 2nd. They declined to do so, as they felt this job was beyond their expertise. Yeah, that's how bad this was. Though apparently the smell wasn't bad enough for two teenage boys, who reportedly broke in on November 13th. They were found on the roof by police after stealing various non-food items from inside. Police caught them after a short foot chase, with their justification being that it was one of the boys' 18th birthday, and they wanted to do something unorthodox to celebrate. Neither had their names publicly revealed due to one of them being 14. It turns out though that this wasn't the only break-in, as police reports that were uncovered a year ago showed that a 55-year-old man was arrested as well. The man had been dumpster diving in the area and managed to find a large quantity of cigarettes, batteries, and a 12-pack of beers. He had two outstanding local traffic warrants justifying his arrest. There was a third break-in reported, though not much details are known besides the suspect escaping through a fire exit. Since the A+ Budget Movers weren't able to do the cleanup, Fort Worth's Department of Environmental Management had to do it themselves. Two officials, Brian Borner and Jimmy McClurg, assessed the store, knowing that many precautions were needed to even enter the building now. I mean, the outside of it was swarming of rats and cockroaches, not to mention the repugnant smell that could be sensed from miles away. To combat this, barricades were put in place around the store, so that these pests couldn't invade the nearby community. This could have caused an outbreak due to how many diseases these creatures had. Pesticides were also sprayed around the building to ensure this. Workers who entered Mexia's supermarket wore air-filtering masks, hazmat suits, and oxygen tanks, and had to be decontaminated before exiting the property. The workers came from Garner Environmental Services, entering the building on November 16th. They would have entered the day before, but they had to delay in order to test the air quality. Yeah, it was that bad, but it was even worse inside. Rat shit caked the floors. There were so many flies that if you laid out your hand, you couldn't even see it. Numerous insect species were crawling around, while others were dead and decomposing. One of the workers of Gardner Enterprises, Todd Johnson, said, "It was one of the worst smelling projects in my history. When rats die from the bacteria, you truly understand that it's a bad atmosphere and lethal for the workers." The fruits and vegetables inside were rotting. The milk containers had exploded due to the high amount of lactic acid and other gases. Packaged meat either seemed untouched or were covered in some sort of grayish-black goo. In an interview, Brian Borner said, "I've been in this business for 14 years. This is the first time I've ever heard of this. You think of what has been in there for 90 days, produce, dairy, meats. It's kind of hard to comprehend." Much of this food is removed by hand, though shovels and front-end loaders had to be used for some of it. They'd be placed into hazardous material bags before being driven to the local landfill. Between the week of November 23rd to the 30th, cash registers, fixtures, and non-perishable food items were removed before the entire store was fumigated. Initially, it was reported that this cleanup cost around $10,000 to $15,000, though it was later reported on the site, Groceteria, that the Fort Worth City Council said it cost over $100,000. This incident remained obscure until 2010, and brief bits of footage were aired on television. On January 26, 2010, the History Channel show Life After People aired an episode called The Last Supper. It, of course, talks about what would happen to our food supply if humanity were to die out. It uses the Mexia supermarket cleanup as a case study into the topic. Not much footage is shown though, maybe only around a minute and a half's worth. This has led to many wondering what happened to the rest of the footage, and why it isn't readily available online right now. There's rumors that some of the footage was shown on local news reports back in 1999, with one user on the site, Soulstrut, writing, "The images on the news is what gave me bad dreams. Windows blackened by millions of roaches, rats, and swarms. Also, what fucked me up was footage of people breaking in and stealing food even after all this time. Imagine walking through a place like that for some canned goods. The smell had to be apocalyptic. 2-month-old fish? 2-month-old carrots? Pork? Thousands upon thousands of rat droppings? I was obsessed with the story, hence why I dreamed about it, being in there." Friend of the channel Gubby covered this topic in August 2023, leading to Lost Media Wiki user Benjamin McHale doing his own investigation. He watched the credits of the Life After People episode, and noticed that the footage was provided by the Environmental Management Department of the City of Fort Worth. McHale got in contact with Anthony Williams, their current supervisor. He was unable to find any additional footage, though did say that the footage shown on TV was recorded by Jimmy McClurg. Sadly, McClurg has since passed away. He then contacted the Special Collections at North Texas University, who were able to confirm when the footage was taken. They had the footage, but could not provide a digital copy upon requests. They suggested contacting other North Texas archives for a copy, but McHale ended up contacting Brian Borner instead. Brian said that the film was recorded by a home VHS camera, but is now considerably deteriorated. This is why only brief bits of footage were shown on Life After People, as much of the footage is damaged. Borner says that the original copy must be missing. In early 2024, McHale got in contact with Ron Jenkins, a photographer who had taken photos during the cleanup. He pointed in the direction of the Southwest Collection at UTA, which is where these photos were held. Another Lost Media Wiki user named Nicolette Astor managed to find them. As of now, no additional footage has been located, though there's still hope. Someone out there must have it, but many of the leads are dead. The supermarket itself was eventually redone, with it now being a Dollar General. This incident seemingly taught the city of Fort Worth a lesson: hold people accountable. The owners who fled to Laos should have helped in ensuring the store was cleaned up. The health department should have checked up on the location regularly, and this food should not have been wasted. Jan Pruitt, the executive for the North Texas Food Bank, stated, "That made us all sick. All that food wasted, and it could have been saved with just one phone call. It doesn't matter which food bank you call anybody." Different parties are playing the blame game, leading to the city having to shell out over $100,000. Not only that, but an outbreak could have occurred, especially with all the different people attempting to break in. Maybe if there's any updates to the story, I'll let you know. Stay tuned for more Lost Media content eventually. I have a big one coming out in May. See ya.